Happy lunch hour, gang. All right. One of the best things, at least I find, out of this family, the whole prepper community, is the communication that we have, the ideas that we throw back and forth to each other. And again, like I've said many times, take what's useful to you and ignore what's not. There was an interesting comment on this morning's video that got me and Mrs. P into a couple hour long conversation because it was actually a really interesting concept, and it ties into something else that I was going to talk about here at lunchtime that we need to pay attention to. So let me start with the first thing that I was researching, I guess, if you will, and then kind of tie it all together with the comment that was made this morning. The whole deal with the climate conference or whatever the hell you want to call it, that's going on in the UAE. Okay. Well, King Charles, idiot that he is, comes up and gives the opening speech here. And to make a long story short, he said that the world needs to spend between $4.5 and $5.5 trillion a year to combat climate change. Yeah, okay. So the grift is just getting bigger and bigger and bigger, right? And, it's not like the royal family is worried about money. They've been milking the British population, the subjects, for centuries, right? Right. Please tell me what honest work, where King Charles ever did a day's worth of work for a paycheck, please. Okay. They have no concept what the people of Great Britain, hell, the people of the world think. Okay. But it wasn't that got me. It was the $4.5 to $5.5 trillion. Where the hell is that money supposed to come from? Right? I mean, where's the $34 trillion that the United States is in debt supposed to come from? Never getting paid off, right? I mean, we're paying nearly $1 trillion in interest a month now on the national debt. I think it was 900 and some odd billion last month. Okay. Just the interest. So, good luck. Are we bringing that in tax revenue each year or each month? No. Okay. So the snowball's rolling downhill real fast. So then this comes into play is how in the hell are countries of the world ever going to get on a solid footing again? And this is where the comment from this morning came in. And if you start tying things together, it actually makes sense until it doesn't. Okay. So you guys know I've talked about this many times over the past year or so, that countries are buying up gold on the open market like crazy, right? Okay. I mean, China is buying more gold than anybody. China's got, nobody knows officially, but unofficially, China's got about twice the gold the United States does in their reserves. Okay. But every country, whether it's Hungary, whether it's Poland, whether it's countries in the South America, they're buying gold. Now, we saw on Friday the price of gold hit an all-time high, $2,071. Okay, it was the all-time close. We got over $2,075 during the day. Okay, so China owns a ton of gold, the United States, Germany, France, Poland, wherever. Everybody's buying gold, right, and putting it in their reserves. What does that do? Well, that takes it off the market. Again, remember how markets work. It's basically supply and demand. If the demand for precious metals continues like it is, dollar getting weaker, et cetera, which I'm going to get into in a second, the demand stays like it is, but the supply is kind of all put away in the reserves. China's not selling any, whatever Poland's not selling any, whoever, the United States not selling. That means the supply gets smaller, which means the demand is outpacing the supply. That drives prices up. Okay. So who's to say all these globalists aren't in cahoots to take all the gold and silver by just because, take it off the market and drive the price of gold up? Now, as the commenter said this morning, what if we had $50,000 per ounce of gold, or $500 per ounce of silver? Okay, we'll just stick to gold here, but I kind of referenced this comment because it was a good comment. So now, if the countries of the world can, in this case, inflate the price of gold to $50,000, now the U.S. can turn around and go, or any other country can say, effective immediately, our currency is backed by gold, because now the gold is valued enough that it comes on par with how much currency's out there, and now we can say it's gold backed. Right? Makes sense. And it's a good thing. Here's the problem. Okay. The companies can go, or the countries, yeah, we know it's a company, but head doesn't work right like that. Now we could literally pay off our debt. Here's $34 trillion backed by gold. That's 25 times higher than it is today. And now the debt's paid off. We have no more debt. What we do get, if this happens, again, the world governments are out of debt. Remember, any debt let's take your mortgage, for example, just a quick sidebar. You have a mortgage at 3%. Why is nobody selling houses right now? Because they don't want to take a mortgage out at 7%. What you have now is already fixed, okay? If the currency is variable, then if the dollars are worth less, it's easier to pay off your note. Okay? Doesn't matter. This is why people say, you get a 30-year mortgage, buy what you as much as you can afford when you can possibly afford when you buy the house, because your house is going to get cheaper as time goes along. And that's because wages should be going up. And if you're paying 30% of your income in 2023, hopefully in 2033, it's only 10% of your income and your house is cheaper. Okay, that's the same concept that they're using here, just on a much bigger scale. So here's the problem that comes into this. The governments saved their butt. They're out of debt. Look, we paid off the debt. And all the elites out there with their stockpiles of gold and silver, granted, we have gold and silver as individuals, most of us, okay? But it ain't anything compared to what Jeff Bezos or Bill Gates or Mark Zuckerberg or Warren Buffett or George Soros has, okay? What I've got in my safe is what they carry around in their pocket as, tips. So here's what happens. Well, if the price of gold goes up, let's just say it's 2,000 right now, okay, just to make the math easy. The price of gold goes up 25 times, not 25%, 25 times. And the dollar is pegged to gold. That means inflation has now gone up 25 times. What's that called? Hyperinflation. What have we all talked about for a couple of years that's coming? Hyperinflation. This is how they're going to do it. And if you start figuring this out, it was a great comment because it all works together and you can start to figure out what their plan is. So we have hyperinflation. Now here's where the problem runs in. Okay? We all know wages have pretty much been stagnant for the entire 21st century. You remember buying a loaf of bread, it was $1 10 years ago. It's about $4 now to buy a loaf of bread, right? Well, if the dollar is now hyperinflated to 25 times what it is, because it's now backed by gold, that means that loaf of bread is $100. Now, if you've got silver coin right now, okay, one silver coin today will buy you about 6 loaves of bread. One silver coin after hyperinflation will buy you 6 loaves of bread, because if the silver's gone up, the price of bread's gone up. That's how it kind of matches out. You're there. Okay. But what about all those people that have held strictly greenbacks, dollars, or euro, or yen, or rubles, or British pound, or pesos, or whatever your currency is? Well, now you have to whip out that $100 bill to buy that loaf of bread. Except when loaf of bread now, you're making, let's say, $15 an hour. Loaf of bread costs you $4. Okay, takes you about 15 minutes of work, gross, to pay off that loaf of bread. But now, if it's $100 an hour, now it takes you 8 hours of work to buy a loaf of bread. Oops, we have a problem here. Okay. How many people are going to go to work because a loaf of bread is what they're going to make in a day's work? Well, I don't know. Does that sound biblical? Think about that. Okay. So what do they wind up getting out of this? Well, the elites had all their gold and silver that they were buying in the market right now. I mean, Christ, gold has gone from $1,800 to nearly $2,100 in what, 2 months? Okay. That ain't normal, guys. That's all because the dollar's getting weaker, which they want, and people are buying gold like crazy. Right? Countries, individuals, the wealthy, little bit, you and me buying little bits and pieces of gold and silver. We don't move the markets. Not much. Maybe a penny is moved by the retail buyer. But so then wages would have to come up. Otherwise, nobody's going to work. And now you get into a situation like Mrs. P had in the Soviet Union, where they devalue the currency. Everything got, the people's standard of living got lower and lower and lower and lower. Okay. Depopulation. Gee, there's another thing we keep hearing from, I don't know, Bill Gates, George Soros, Klaus Schwab, that we need to depopulate the earth. How better to depopulate the earth if we have hyperinflation and people can't afford to eat? They can starve to death. Do you honestly think that the aforementioned King Charles, Bill Gates, gives a rat's ass as much as they posture? Oh, we need to have GMO seeds in Africa so the people can eat. Bill Gates, okay, GMO chickens, right? They look at it as a way they can make money, they can have control. They don't care about the people. You know it, I know it, anybody with a brain knows it. Okay? So now we have people starving to death. Now we have, again, the elites coming in and buying all the farmland, right? Gee, that hasn't happened either, has it? It's all control. Now, you and I may say, well, good. I've got some gold and silver put back. I'm okay. How much do you have? How long can you make it? The people who have none are instantly hyperinflated out of existence, okay? The skinny person dies while the fat person survives. But how long until you and me, people that have put some back, we go from being the fat person and we get skinnier and skinnier and skinnier until it's our turn. And now we go. The fattest cats on the top, don't worry about it. They wait until all of us have perished. And the only thing left is, please, sir, may I have another? Right? Pinball out.